This is the second semester final exam review for Algebra 2. In this video, I'm going to talk about problems 1 to 7 on the final exam review packet. Problem 1 has to do with finding a solution to a system of equations by graphing. And in problem A, they want you to solve the system y equals 2x minus 3 and y equals 4x plus 5 by graphing. Now on the final exam, you're probably not going to do it this way, so I'm going to talk about this problem in a couple different methods. If you graph it by hand, when you graph 2x minus 3, the y-intercept, b, is negative 3. And the slope is 2, so you would go up 2 to the right one, up 2 to the right one, up 2 to the right one, and that's how you would plot more points. You can go backwards too, down 2 to the left one, down 2 to the left one, as long as everything lies on a single line. The second equation has a y-intercept of 5 and a slope of 4. So you would go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right one. And now I'm out of space, so I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to go down 4 to the left one. 1, 2, 3, 4 down to the left one. 1, 2, 3, 4 down to the left one. And what we want to know is where these two lines are going to intersect. And it actually turns out they're going to intersect down here somewhere. And this is at negative 4, negative 11. There's another way you could also have dealt with this problem. You could have done it by something called substitution. Substitution is the one where you take one of the equations, as long as it's solved for a variable, and plug it into the other equation. So since y is equal to 2x, I can make 2x minus 3 equal to 4x plus 5. And then this is just a general algebra equation that I can solve. So negative 3 is equal to 2x plus 5. I subtract 5, I get negative 8 is equal to 2x, so x is equal to negative 4, and then I would plug negative 4 back into one of the original two equations to find out that y is negative 11. If you choose to use the graphing calculator instead, and I'll do that in a different color, I would put the first equation in y1 equals, I would put the second equation in y2 equals, and then after you graph it, you would go to second trace, that's your calculate function. Number 5 is intersection, because the solution is the point where the two lines intersect. And then I would hit enter 3 times. And then at the bottom of the screen, it will tell you x is equal to negative 4 and y is equal to negative 11. That's probably the most straightforward way to do the problem, particularly on a multiple choice test. The graphing calculator method is also good when your answers tend to be decimals. So for this particular problem, it would be best to put this in y1 equals, this into y2 equals, and then use your intersect function. Again, it's second trace, number 5, and then you hit enter 3 times. And at the bottom of your screen, it should tell you that x is equal to 6 point, and it probably says 6666667. So maybe I'll round it to the nearest hundredth place. And then it says y is negative 3.6666667. So I'll round it off to the hundredth place as well. But what if the multiple choice answers aren't decimals? What if they're exact numbers? Well, if you know that this was really the repeating decimal, 6.6666666 forever, you could type that onto the screen of the calculator, and I mean type in 6.6666 and keep filling it until it either pops to the next line if you have an older calculator, or if you have the newer calculator, you probably see a little arrow because it just keeps going off to the right. Then hit math enter enter, and it'll turn it back into a fraction for you. and it'll tell you that the answer is 20/3. You can do the same thing for negative 3.66666666. You can type that into the screen until it goes to the next line or goes off the screen, and then hit math, enter, enter, and it'll tell you it's negative 11/3. So if they wanted improper fractions, those would be the answers. But remember, you can also do it algebraically, simply by doing substitution. So you would get negative x plus 3 is equal to negative 1/4 x minus 2. If you don't like fractions, the easiest thing to do to get rid of the fractions is to multiply everything by 4. That's because that's what the denominator of the fraction is. Negative 4x plus 12 is equal to negative 1x minus 8. And then I would just maybe add x, I get negative 3x, and I would subtract 12, I get equals negative 20, and then I end up with my x equals positive 20/3. Hey, look at that, I still got the same answer. So just because a method is told to you on the multiple choice doesn't mean you have to use it. Use the method that is easiest for you to do. Number 3, number 3, that's not number 3, that's number 2. Number 2, an online music company offers 12 downloads for $16.75 and 35 downloads for $38.50. Each price includes the same one-time registration fee. The following system represents this situation. 12x plus y is equal to 1675, and 35x plus y is equal to 3850. What do the x and y variables represent? Well, x, because it's they offer 12 downloads, x must be the price of each download. It didn't say the price of a download was $12, and you know that downloads don't cost $12. Y is going to be that one-time registration fee. In part B, they want you to solve the system. Well, one of the ways that I showed you how to solve the system was using something called a matrix. I'll review that here, and the problem with the video is that I can't show you what's on my calculator screen. I can only write down and tell you what buttons to press. But we did do this in class. The matrix is going to be 12, 1, 1675, and 35, 1, 3850. In order to write a matrix, your equations have to be in standard form, that ax plus by equals c. And when we're doing real-world problems, they usually are. In order to plug this into the calculator, you're going to hit second, x to the negative first. Once you press that, you need to go over 2 spaces to edit. And then we're just going to put this in number 1, just hit enter, and we're going to make this matrix A. In matrix A, remember the top of the screen tells you the dimensions of the matrix. So you need to tell the calculator that it's 2 by 3 because there are 2 rows and 3 columns. You probably have to type that in unless your calculator already says 2 by 3 because that's probably the last matrix we did together anyway. When you type in the numbers will go across each row, and then it will go down to the next row, and you'll type in these numbers. Once you're done typing in those numbers, you're going to quit and go back to the home screen. Then you have to go back into matrix again. So this is the second time we're going to go to second x negative 1. But this time you're only going to arrow 1 to the right, to math. Don't press the math button. Go to the math function in matrix. And I want you to look for RREF. You may have to search a little bit. It's not in the first part of the list. This is the function that solves the matrix for us. So once you get to it, hit enter. So this pops up on your home screen. Now you have to go into matrix one last time. But this time you don't have to move the cursor anywhere. You're just going to hit enter. Now your calculator should say this. It says, will you please solve matrix A for me? Yes, yes I will. So you hit enter again. And what should pop up on your screen should look like this. The decimal may be longer. I rounded. This is your solution, where the first number is X and the second number is Y. So each download is 95 cents, and the one-time registration fee is $5.40. However, you don't have to use the matrix method. That's just my preferred method. You may also enjoy using elimination. Elimination is the one where you add the equations together and one of the variables eliminates. Except in this particular problem, in order to make one of the variables eliminate, and the easiest variable to eliminate is y, I would multiply one of the equations by -1. I'd multiply the first one. And then I would add them together. I would get 23x is equal to 2135. And then when you divide by 23, you're going to find out that x is approximately 0.95. And then you would plug it back into one of the original equations to find out that y was about 540. Problem 3. Boy A has coordinates -1, -4, and boy B has coordinates -5, -4. Both boys are looking at a bird's nest. The line of vision for boy A is represented by the line y equals 4x. The line of vision for boy B is the line y equals 2x plus 6. What are the coordinates of the bird's nest? That's just a fancy way of saying what's the point of intersection of those two lines. So boy A, I'll do him in blue, is at -1, or sorry, I wrote down the wrong number. It's -1, -4. All right, now I'm going to do this right. He's at -1, -4, so he's here. And his line of sight is the equation 4x. So in order to plot more points on that line, you would go 1, 2, 3, up, 4 to the right, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 up, 1 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4 up, 1 to the right. And that would be his line of sight to the bird's nest. Boy B starts at -5, -4. And his line of sight is 2x plus 6. Well, since I'm going to start at this point, his slope is up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1. And it's going to intersect somewhere up there. All right, so if you're doing this on the calculator, you're putting this into y1 equals and this into y2 equals, and you're using second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. There's another way of doing it. The way I was doing it in the initial problems was I was saying I'm going to use substitution. So I'm going to substitute 4x in for y into the second equation. So 4x is equal to 2x plus 6. So 2x is equal to 6, and x is equal to 3. And if x equals 3, then y must equal 4 times 3, which is 12. So the coordinate of the bird's nest must be at 312. Number 4, suppose you manufacture and sell wiring fence. The table at the right displays your current sizes and prices. Using the table, predict the price of a 270 square foot fence. Well, first of all, if you're doing this as a multiple choice problem, if you know that 270 square feet is going to be between 200 and 320, you're going to know that the correct multiple choice answer must be some answer between $64.59 and $86.99. However, to find a more accurate answer, we can do a linear regression or line of best fit regression. The way we do that is we press the stat button on our calculator. When you press stat, the first option is edit, so just hit enter. And then you're going to put the sizes in list 1 and the prices in list 2. If you already have information in list 1 and list 2, you can clear it out. Put the cursor on L1 so it's highlighted, hit clear, and then press the down button, and it'll make all the information go away. And you do the same thing with list 2. You put the cursor on it, you press clear, and then down. Once you have the data in the calculator, we really only talked about linear regression right now. So we're going to assume that this graph is fairly linear, but if you want to see what the graph looks like, you can go to, second y equals, turn the stat plot number 1 on. It's probably off. You put the cursor on it, hit enter, and then you press the zoom button at the top and find the one that says zoom stat. When you press it, it'll give you a scatter plot of the data. And you'll notice that the scatter plot of the data looks fairly linear. To get the equation of the data, you're going to press the stat button. But instead of using edit, you're going to arrow 1 to the right to, what does it say? Let's see, calc. And then you're going to go find number 4, the one that says lin reg. And then if you have the new operating system, you may have to hit enter several times in order to get the equation. If you have the old operating system, it's just going to pop up. So it's going to say y equals ax plus b. And then it's going to say a is equal to 0.273, blah, 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 blah. B is equal to 4.7977, da, 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 da. R squared is equal to 0.98. And R is equal to 0.99. Remember that the closer that R is to +1 or -1, the more accurate this data or this equation is representative of the data. Now, how should you round? You'll get 2 different answers depending on if you round to the nearest hundredths or if you round to the nearest thousandths. Whatever you do, please be consistent. Now that you have an equation, you can plug in 270 for x and find out how much it'll cost. If you use this equation and you plug in 270 for x, you'll find out that it's about $77.70. The second equation is a little bit different. The answer will give you $78.51. However, at this point in time, you'll probably be able to determine which multiple choice answer is the correct one. In problem 5, we want to find the x and y intercepts of each equation. In order to find the x-intercept of any equation, that's where it hits the x-axis, you just need to plug in 0 for y. Well, when you plug in 0 for y, you get 0. So you're left with 7x is equal to 28, so x is equal to 4. So 4, 0 is the x-intercept. To find the y-intercept, where it hits the y-axis, you plug in 0 for x. Well, that means this becomes 0, and you're left with -2y is equal to 28. So y is equal to -14. The ordered pair is 0, -14. Let's try that again. In problem B, 4x plus 3y equals 12. To find the x-intercept, I'm going to plug in 0 for y. Well, what happens is this becomes 0, and you're left with 4x is equal to 12, so x is equal to 3. So the x-intercept is 3, 0. To find the y-intercept, you plug in 0 for x. This goes away, so you're left with 3y equals 12 or y equals 4. So 0, 4 is the y-intercept. In problem 6, They want you to use the graph at the right to find the slope of the line passing through points A and B and write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. I don't know about you, but I have a hard time seeing the line on my paper. However, I can see the two ordered pairs that lie on the line. A theorem we learned in geometry was that 2 points determine a line. So all I need is two ordered pairs to be able to write the equation. One of the ordered pairs appears to be at 0, 2, which is pretty nice because that's the y-intercept. And if that's the y-intercept, that's b in my equation y equals mx plus b. So the only other thing I need to find out is what's the slope m. The other ordered pair appears to be at 1, negative 2. To find the slope, you do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So negative 2 minus 2 over 1 minus 0. Negative 4 over 1 is negative 4. The other thing that you could have done is you could have started at the 1 point, and to get to the second point, you had to go down 4 into the right one. Down 4 means negative. So the equation is y equals negative 4x plus 2. Now remember, when you're dealing with a multiple choice test, if you notice the line is going down from left to right, you better pick an equation that has a negative slope. If you pick an equation with a positive slope, that's not right. Positive slope has a line that goes up from left to right. Horizontal lines have no slope, or they have zero slope. They're always the equation y equals some number. And vertical lines, we said, had undefined slope. Vertical lines are always the equation x equals some number. We're going to use that same concept of finding the slope here in problem 7. John's company manufactures DVDs. The company will make $110,000 profit if it manufactures 90,000 DVDs, and $1,120,000 profit if it manufactures 400,000 DVDs. The relationship between the number of DVDs and the profit is linear. Write an equation that gives the profit P when N discs are manufactured. I'm going to worry about P and N at the very end of the problem. For right now, I'm going to notice that they give me two ordered pairs that lie on this line. One of them is that you make 90,000 DVDs, you're going to make a profit of 110,000. And the other one is if you make 400,000 DVDs, you're going to make a profit of 1,120,000 DVDs. How did I know which one to make which? We usually make money, the y-coordinate, and the number of an item, the x-coordinate. Are there exceptions to that rule? Yeah, but not usually. Well, there are my two order pairs. There's my x1, y1, and x2, y2. In order to find the equation of the line, I'm going to do the slope formula first. So 1,120,000 minus 110,000 divided by the x's, 400,000 minus 90,000. That's going to give me 1,010,000 divided by 310,000. And that's going to equal 3.26. So my slope is 3.26. So y is equal to 3.26x plus b. To find the y-intercept, I'm going to plug one of the two original ordered pairs into this equation for x and y and solve for b. So why don't I plug that one in, just for no apparent reason. So y is 110,000. That's going to equal 3.26 times 90,000 plus b. 3.26 times 90,000 is 293,400. And then I'm going to subtract 293,400. And I'm going to get, let's see, I wrote this answer down. Negative 183,400 is B. So now I know the equation is y is equal to 3.26x minus 183,400. And the problem asked me to use P and N. Well, P is your Y value, and N is your X. And this would be an equation that represents the price, or the amount of my profit, I should say, when I sell N DVDs. And that was problems 1 through 7 on the review packet.